That's weird. That's weird. Kind of weirding me out.
You are a sad, strange little man.
Crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. Isn't that weird?
That's weird, man.
It's strange.
What's up, campers? Welcome back to episode 92 of Camp Strange. I'm your camp counselor, Alex Tobin.
And I'm your other camp counselor, David Stokes.
And we're back to bring the spooky, wacky, weird, strange, and skinny. It's different
Sleek?
than it. No, it's a different kind of skinny, as I'll get into my story later.
Like skinning?
It's a
Like
maybe.
a skinny meal. That's sandwich.
Maybe.
It's lettuce in between two slices of skin.
Yeah, sure. Let's say that.
All right.
But before we get into our longer stories for you today, we got to catch up on any of the news. And, David, I feel like I started this trend, and I don't know how I'm going to stop it, okay?
Uh-oh.
I think it was last week or the week before, I told you guys to go try to break your own Guinness World Records. It is getting fucking out of hand, okay?
Uh-oh.
I'm on these news sites, and every other third article is a goddamn world record, and they're the dumbest world records ever. And like, whatever, if you want to go be in the Guinness Book of World Records, more power to you, but like, this is not newsworthy. Like, one says student earns Guinness record for 588 square foot spice painting. Like,
What is a spice? Well, hold on. What's a spice painting?
I think you should. Well, I think it was in India, so like I think they paint with spices. You know, like sometimes these
like a
Buddhist
dust.
places sometimes have like sand paintings. I think it was like a spice painting.
Okay.
But then there's like virtual pub quiz, set Guinness record for YouTube streaming. Fucking guy fastest, he put on 10 shirts for the Guinness World Records. It's like, these are not. Oh, don't you? Oh, here's my least favorite, which I think she's a faker.
Okay.
It says 90-year-old gaming grandma dubbed world oldest gaming YouTuber. Which
is it a lady that plays Skyrim?
Oh, I don't know. Japanese woman known as the gaming grandma.
No, I don't think
What does she play?
Because I know there's one very elderly lady that streams Skyrim, Elder Scrolls Skyrim, like every day.
Oh, no, it's not that lady. She plays PS4. I don't know. Maury and her current favorite game is Grand Theft Auto 5.
Hell yes.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So she gets. I take it back. She gets a pass. but still,
incredible. Who wouldn't watch that?
But like, what qualifies you? Like, do I have to just if I just got my grandma who's like 91 and be like, grab this fucking controller? She's like,
you just keep pushing buttons. I mean,
She's
it would
like,
be
I know.
entertaining. There's no arguing that.
I'm like, grab this fucking controller. She's like, I don't know where I am. I'm like, shut up. We're gonna get a world record.
I want to be in that book.
No, seriously. Like, what constitutes a gamer? Like, I don't know. I mean, right now, it's just like the way she's holding the controller. I'm like, I don't know if she's really a gamer, but
Oh yeah, you can always tell by the way they hold the
she's
controller.
holding it with her feet.
It's upside down, backwards.
She's tangled
It's
up.
the only way I can hold it with my arthritis.
She's tangled up in the wireless cord. It's crazy. It's like she walked into a spider web. but yeah, so I don't know. There's just like a bunch of these Guinness World Records that are like kind of like some guy got the fastest juggler while standing on a balance board, and I'm just like, I think everyone's just bored. I'm just gonna like I'm gonna try to when I could open and close a dresser drawer the fastest in 1 minute. The most times in 1 minute. I could do that.
Get that WD-40 ready.
WB-40 too.
That's for
when the WD-40 doesn't work.
Yeah, you go with Plan B.
Anyway, stop breaking all the rules, all the records, okay?
Just lay off the records, okay?
I've had enough. Okay, David, do you have a story for us?
So last week we were talking a little bit about how the country of North Korea has their own rules in basketball. And so I said that instead of doing a news story, I'd come in, I'd bring in some of the rules that are very different from our typical American or European League basketball rules.
They shoot with their feet, right?
Yeah. It's that one game where they have to kick the ball over the net. So the first rule is slam dunks are worth 3 points.
Okay.
Instead of 2. And the next one is field goals and field goals in the final 3 minutes of the game are worth 8 points.
That's kind of. Oh wait, what? Did you say 8 points?
8 points.
Whoa. I mean, it definitely does. It's like the how those game shows operate, where it's like the later you go in the rounds, the more the categories are worth or whatever. So it's kind of like a game show. I get it.
So and then we also have 3-pointers are worth 4 if the ball doesn't touch the rim.
Yo, what? If you get it nothing but net, but like that's like what? Do they have like these tiny camera? I mean, I know they have the cameras like for the NBA, but is North Korea putting cameras on their rims, or it's just kind of like that sounded like a swish? You're good.
I don't know. You got to have some real dictator referees there.
I kind of like the whole just like variable thing with the points. Like it really, you can never get a solid lead. I feel like.
Yeah,
which is great.
Yeah, and then the last one here is I actually like this one. A point is deducted from the score for missed free throws.
Oh wow! I actually really like that one.
Yeah,
there's
really cool.
No
excuse for people to be missing free throws. They're free.
They are, and
they're free.
And some people like I don't know. I listen to a whole podcast about like free throws, and you listen
to a whole podcast about just free throws?
It was a Malcolm Gladwell podcast.
Holy shit!
It was
how long was it?
It was about Rick. It was about Rick Barry, the guy on the Warriors who used to shoot his free throws underhanded, and he's the best free throw shooter, or one of the best in the NBA.
Yep.
And how good ideas are hard to catch on if they're kind of like weird and stuff like that. Because like Shaq was a horrible free throw shooter, and
Dwight Howard horrible.
Yeah,
it's usually the big guys. The centers are usually pretty bad.
Yeah, and he told Rick Barry he's like I'd rather miss all of my shots than shoot underhand or something like that. I was like, what the fuck? So
that's not the winning mentality.
Yeah, it would teach him a lesson, Shaq.
Yeah,
with your gold bond. With your fucking
gold bond.
With your 1-800
the
general. I'm such a General fan. It's crazy.
Oh man, I've always been a big fan of the General.
I just
love a better spokesman.
When they made the switch to from phone to website, it used to be for the best car insurance rates in town, call 1-800 General now, and then it switched to the website and it says for the best car insurance rates online, go to the General and save some time. So the song switched, if you didn't know.
Well, JG Wentworth, 877 Cash Now, they lost their goddamn phone number.
Did they really?
Yeah. I don't know if they did it on purpose. I don't know if they just lost it. I don't know what happened. They saw a commercial recently, and it's not 877 Cash Now anymore.
You know what I miss? Remember that band for like Carfax or something like that? You remember that?
No.
They were like a band, and they used to play a bunch of like songs for the commercials, and they were like at like a Renaissance fair playing a song, and then they're like, I'm in the backseat of my car, playing the headrest, and the whole band's in the car. Those are so fun.
I do remember that now. Yeah, I don't like this furry fox they've got now. He's a little too sexy for me and my family.
Oh, the Carfax fox.
The Carfax fox needs to tone down the sexiness because it's too much for me and the kids to handle.
Not even wearing pants.
They say, Daddy, why does the fox make me feel this way?
Son, only God knows.
Only God loves these great car sales.
But speaking of sexiness, South Korean soccer team apologizes for sex dolls in the stands. So, and they shouldn't need to apologize. You know why?
That's expensive.
Because they're sexy. And you don't.
I mean, who's the fan really? Who are the fans even really here to watch? You know?
Yeah, well, it looks like they got some cardboard cutouts in like the way back, and then they got like the sex dolls like closer to the front of like the field, which is like what they do in zombie movies. If you like watch zombie movies, the ones in the way back, they only get a mask, and then the ones like kind of like closer to the camera, they get like a little makeup, and the ones really close to the camera, they get the really good makeup. So it's like. These sex dolls are like the ones you want to be most realistic, and you use the cardboard cutouts in the back. But I guess they got a bunch of flack for it, which is bullshit, you know.
Well, I guess all the fans looked really surprised during the whole game.
Actually, they're wearing masks, so they're solidarity, you know. And they're all
Yeah.
sitting like 5 feet apart, which is really nice too.
Oh, yeah.
They're-
Don't
it's
want you can't let the sex dolls sit too close to each other. You don't know what could happen.
No, you might, yeah.
You get a whole Skynet situation all over again.
You'll create a stampede. Everyone's just running at them.
Yeah.
Anyway, so sorry.
How do you get the players to play when they're just so goddamn horny?
Anyway, I just wanted to tell you about that. You have one more news story for me though?
I do not. I only
Fuck
brought the
you.
Korean basketball. I'm
God
sorry.
damn it.
I told you this
Okay.
before we started recording, son of a
You
bitch.
did. But it's fine. You know why? Because my story is a little bit longer today. So let's just get into it already. But before we do, we got to tell you about our sponsor, Spring Hill Jack. It's the best coffee in the game. You should try it out. It makes you fast and smart and stronger and better looking. So go drink some Spring Hill Jack. They do not stand by any of the things I said, but it probably does. Science just isn't there yet, but I'm a science man, and I'm on the forefront of all this technology. So you guys are going to find out next year what Spring Hill Jack can do to your body, and it's only good things. Anyway, go check out springhilljack.coffee. Good ad.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do
okay.
it.
Now, David, as you know, I'm a big fan of horror movies. Everything from killer dolls and violent ghosts to the deranged psychos and violent slashers. Now, most of these murderous masterpieces are, of course, fiction, but that doesn't mean that these stories don't draw inspiration from real-life events. Movies like The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Psycho, and Silence of the Lambs all draw from one horrifying true-life event of a man who would use human flesh to make skin suits, furniture, and clothing for himself.
Oh.
But let's not get into all of his paraphernalia before you know the story, as this is the tale of Ed Gein, the Plainfield Butcher, or the Plainfield Ghoul. I like the Ghoul better.
Yeah, I gotta say, if my last name was Gein, I would start skinning people too.
I mean, if you see him too, you're like, oh, that guy's definitely skinned a guy or two. Well, I was
He's
actually
a
all
real skinner.
It's actually all women, so ugh.
Oh.
Yeah, not as fun, right?
Yeah. No.
I don't even
No.
know what I was trying to prove at that point. Anyway, so let's get into it. So on August 27th, 1906, Ed Gein was born in La Crosse County, Wisconsin, or just La Crosse County, I don't know, Wisconsin, to parents Philip and Augusta Gein. See, Augusta apparently hated her husband because he was a professional whiskey man, otherwise known as an
Ooh.
alcoholic.
No, yeah, it's a hard profession to keep up, especially with a family.
People were like, this family's getting in the way of my career. Honey, what's that? I'm a professional whiskey man. I'm sponsored by the toilet bowl.
It's not alcoholism if you put tasting in it. I'm a whiskey taster.
True. See, the trick is, like wine people, sommeliers, they drink it and they put it in their mouth, swish around, spit it out into like a bucket. You do
If
that.
you're a coward.
You do that, and then when everybody leaves, you go and you drink the bucket.
Oh, yeah. Nothing better
That's-
than the bucket.
That's what a professional does. But like I said, he was an alcoholic, and unlike us whiskey men, he was not very, responsible and astute and functioning like us whiskey men. And he was unable to hold a job, working as a carpenter, a tanner, an insurance salesman. But
wow.
George eventually opened up his own local grocery store for a few years, and it actually worked for a bit. But that was until he sold the business and moved the family to a 155-acre farm in the town of Plainfield, Wisconsin, to live in isolation. Oh, that's great when the dad's like, hey, everybody, you had friends and you maybe were starting to have a life. We're going to go live on a ranch where you're not allowed to talk to people.
Yeah.
I see that shit all the time with like doomsday preppers where there's like a functioning family that just seems normal and the dad's just like, I bought a piece of land out in the middle of Montana and now it's 10 miles from any road, and you're like, oh no, okay.
Are you throwing shade at me right now?
I'm not throwing
in the middle of Montana, 10 miles away from any road.
Maybe I am, you freaking weirdo.
Whatever.
Dude, you're a doomsday prepper. I knew it.
Basically, I bought some throwing knives.
Did you? Those are going to come
Yeah.
in handy when the tuna cans come. when the tuna cans go missing. Not they don't come. They go missing. So Augusta took advantage of the farm's isolation to teach her sons without the opinion of the outside world, on what she believed was the knowledge that would save their souls. See,
that's never good.
You see, Augusta was extremely religious and nominally Lutheran, meaning that every day she would preach to Ed and his older brother George about the innate immorality of the world. I was gonna say immortality. What the fuck?
That's a hard word.
They're immoral. The world's immoral.
Just throw an R in there, and it sounds better. That's what I do.
So she taught them about the immorality of the world, the evils of drinking, and her belief that all women, except herself, of course, were naturally promiscuous and instruments of the devil. That's a good.
I'm not gonna say that's wrong.
Okay, I'm not going to go around arguing with Augusta right now. But...
I'm not going to argue with anyone's mom. Moms are always right.
So she would reserve time every afternoon to read to them from the Bible, usually selecting verses from the Old Testament concerning death, murder, and divine retribution. You know, all the things you can find in How to Grow a Serial Killer for Dummies. Mm-hmm. So... the only time Edward left the farm was to attend school, and when returned to the farm, he spent most of the time doing chores around the house and the land. And Ed was also not allowed to make new friends at all or bring anyone over. And if he tried, he was punished by his mother. So again, real good mom trying to.
How did she punish him?
Spankings.
I
have fucking no idea. I mean, I don't even want to know. There's definitely some cigarette burns involved, I'm feeling. So
yeah, probably.
Because of this extreme isolation, Ed became very shy during school and talked to very few other kids. Teachers would even go on to say that they would remember Ed's strange mannerisms in class, as he would break out in random laughter as if he was laughing at his own joke. Surprisingly, though, Ed was a good student and kept his grades up. His social and home life dealing the brunt of the problem. So it was mainly just like his social and home life, which were like really bad. But he was actually like pretty smart, except he would fucking laugh like Joaquin Phoenix and the Joker, like on the bus.
I was gonna say, sounds like he's got the Joker syndrome there.
Honestly. Yeah, it was called something. I watched like some behind the scenes thing about how he got into character and how they talked about how like what this disease was and how it was real, and he probably had it.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. The thing that Arthur Fleck or whatever in the Joker has, like the random laughing, is like a real disease, but it's not that common. And he's talking about how he would watch YouTube videos of like people with this disease to see like how they would act and how they would talk and how they would just break out into laughter. But obviously this was not a diagnosis back then, so he was probably just like, oh, he's weird, you know?
Yeah.
So, and you know what? They weren't wrong. So on April 1st, 1940, Ed's father, 66-year-old George, died of heart failure. So the father's name is George, and the older brother's name is George. So if you too confused, but
George Jr.
Exactly. So George died of heart failure caused by his whiskey heart or alcoholism. After the loss, the two brothers Henry. Oh my God, the older brother's name is not George; it's Henry.
You win some, you lose some. What are you going to do?
Fuck. Anyway, he had an older brother named Henry. So after the loss, the two brothers, Henry and Ed, began doing odd jobs around town to help cover living expenses. They were seen as reliable and honest by residents of the community, and hardworking men, and they were handymen actually. But Ed also frequently babysat for neighbors who needed assistance. I mean, if they knew what was coming, they probably wouldn't. But they're like, oh, that's just simple Ed, because he actually enjoyed babysitting because he seemed to relate more easily to children than adults, possibly expressing the childhood he missed out on. Honestly, so
okay, that makes sense.
That's my diagnosis on him. So. Yeah. So Henry, Ed's older brother, began dating a divorced single mother of two. Henry. He's got.
How old was Henry?
He wasn't old enough at this point. I think he was like probably
Okay.
20 something. But when you're in Plainfield, here's the thing. I'm not gonna get into this.
Yeah, maybe hang back on that, huh? Don't bury yourself in a hole too deep there, buddy.
It's not gonna be too bad. But I'm just saying, when you have like a single mom with 2 kids and you're like not the greatest looking, but she's like out of your league, you're like, this might work now. I think you know what I'm picking up on. I just mean when they don't have the kids, they're just like, oh, I'm gonna go date the better looking guy. But if she's got the 2 kids, you're there. You have a shoulder right there.
Everybody wants the captain of the football team.
Well, cliche, David. So, while you're getting the guy who's breaking the world records of the longest gaming marathon with playing Kirby, so
The biggest cheeseburger eaten.
biggest cheeseburger eaten. Okay, so like I said,
Everybody in town knew Cheeseburger Henry.
So, like I said, Ed's older brother began dating a divorced single mother of 2 and planned on moving in with her, but Henry worried about his brother's attachment to their mother and often spoke ill of her around Ed. No one speak bad about mama. So
No one talk about my mama like that.
who do you think made that cheeseburger for old Henry? So when you speak bad about mom around Ed, he usually responded with shock and hurt. And Ed didn't like when George would speak bad about her. I just put Ed didn't like when George would speak bad about mother. No, Ed
You
didn't
don't
like
speak bad
that
about
at
mother.
all. I just said no, Ed didn't like that at all. Look at me just trying to be so fucking dramatic over here. So on
Cue the music.
Ed didn't like that at all. So on May 16, 1944, Henry and Ed were burning away marsh vegetation on their property when the fire got out of control, drawing the attention of the local fire department. The fire department then showed up and put out the fire and left the scene. But shortly after, Ed would report his brother missing. A search party was dispatched that night, and after a short walk in the woods with their lanterns and flashlights, they came across George's... Oh, now he's named George again. Oh, no. Fuck.
What's happening here?
I don't know.
Maybe his name was George and he went by Henry. George Henry.
Yeah, that could have been. So they came across Henry's body lying face down in some brush. Apparently, he had been dead for some time, and it appeared at first that the cause of death was heart failure, since he had not been burned or injured otherwise. But it was later discovered that George suffered from severe bruising all over his head. You know how fire does that sometimes?
They pick up a big old stick and they just beat you with it.
Throwing embers at my head. So the police dismissed the possibility of foul play, and the county coroner later officially listed asphyxiation from smoke as the cause of death. So they're like, oh, he was too close to the fire and he couldn't breathe and he had a heart attack because of all the smoke inhalation. The authorities accepted the accident theory, but no official investigation was conducted, and an autopsy was not performed, actually. Okay. So Ed kind of, it's really, I'll say this. He says, was it possible that Ed killed his brother, though? Was it possible that Henry kept talking bad about Mama? We most likely may never know. But
you don't do that.
It is a good question. Like, if he had the severe bruising, they're handymen. Like, he could have, bruising on his head. I feel like you would be able to tell if it was blunt force trauma, but it still is very interesting that he died in the woods from asphyxiation. It doesn't seem that likely, but also I don't know. It's very strange. So, well, now Gein and his mother were alone now. The dad was gone, and now the older brother was gone. So. They were just alone, and Augusta had a paralyzing stroke shortly after her husband, George's death, and Ed devoted himself to taking care of her. Sometime in 1945, Gein later recounted he and his mother visited a man named Smith who lived nearby to purchase straw. And according to Gein, Augusta witnessed Smith beating a dog. outside of his house when they're going to go pick up that
Okay.
straw, and a woman inside Smith's home came outside and yelled for him to stop, but Smith beat the dog to death. Super
Oh,
fucked
shit.
up. Yeah, super fucked up. It was his dog, I'm guessing. And
That's no good.
Augusta, see, you think she's about to be a good mom. Augusta was extremely upset by this scene. However, what bothered her did not appear to be the brutality toward the dog, but rather the presence of the woman. You see, Augusta told Ed that
No.
the woman was not married to Smith, so she had no business being there. And she angrily called her Smith's harlot. So she really, really hated other women, or just women in
Okay.
general, which is super strange to hate women that much when you're a woman. Like,
A self-hating woman. Okay.
I don't get it. Like, I don't know what she looked like. Oh, I did know what she looked like. She didn't look that bad, honestly. I think she was just, like, so religious, because I was going to say, like, oh, maybe it was, like, a jealousy thing or something. But, like, I honestly think it was just, like, she was so wrapped up in her, like, weird belief system that she thought that a woman was going to, you know what it is? Women usually take their, like, mothers' sons away from mothers. So I think she was, like, telling Ed, all these women are bad, so, like, you can never leave me. You know what I mean? Because she's, like,
You,
the
you
last
can never have my baby. He's my baby. You can't touch my baby.
My baby love it. Oh, his favorite. We sometimes go down to the straw man and watch him beat the dog to death. We have a great time. We have all these shared memories together, me and Eddie.
I got a dog bone necklace. I take a bone from every dog.
Sounds like the apocalypse. So, a short while after, Augusta had a second stroke. She is stressed about those women, and her health deteriorated rapidly, leading to her death on December 29th, 1945, at the age of 67. And Ed was devastated by her death, realizing he had now lost his last and only friend. So, even though Ed was devastated, he held on to the farm and kept working, earning money from odd jobs like working on local municipal road crews and crop threshing crews in the area. He also earned some money from the federal government in the form of a farm subsidy, and even earned money by selling 80 acres of the property that had previously been owned by his brother, Henry. So he was just kind of finding, like, weird ways to make money now, just to, like, survive, selling off little parts that he didn't want anymore, and then just, like, working on these odd jobs. As for the house on the property, though, he could not sell that because he was too sentimentally attached to it. But he did make alterations to the house. So Ed boarded up rooms used by his mother, including the upstairs, downstairs parlor, and living room, leaving them untouched and pristine, almost like a memorial, or like maybe he wasn't allowed to be in those rooms without his mom, or you know what I mean?
Okay.
Even as like
Yeah.
an adult, you know, I don't fucking know. Obviously, they had a strange ass relationship. So
Yeah.
while the rest of the house became increasingly filthy, though, because like I said, he boarded up those rooms. They stayed nice, but the rest of the house, he just, like, fucking ruined. Like, hoarder, like, gross-ass shit everywhere. And you're about to find out what's in the house in a little bit. So,
Ooh.
Ed lived in a small room next to the kitchen, spending his downtime reading pulp magazines and adventure stories, particularly those involving cannibals or Nazi atrocities. Also, big red flags, you know?
No, that's healthy.
If the only comic books you like, throw a Superman in there. What are you doing? He's just like, got any of the Nazi comics? They're like, Ed, you are one crazy son of a bitch. And he's like, we just got a new shipment of dog murder magazines in the back. You want to check those out? He's like, no, I'll get one for Mama, though. Mama love.
Gotta check out the back page where you can buy new bludgeoning sticks.
Mama only read those for the articles. She don't care about the dog murders. I swear. It's like when the guy buys Playboy and he's like, they have good articles in it.
Great articles.
I don't like the other parts. So
You know what though? They do have good articles.
I wouldn't know. I've actually never read a Playboy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've seen them. I just never read one. I'm just like, oh, I get what those are. I got the internet. Hey, guess what? The internet has good articles too.
And it has free porn.
And free
Porn
news.
should be free.
Free news. So let's get back into the story. So on the morning of November 16th, 1957, Plainfield hardware store owner Bernice Warden disappeared. A Plainfield resident reported that the hardware store's truck had been seen driving out of the rear of the building around 9:30 a.m. that morning, making the store closed for the entire day. See, many saw no harm in this as they believed that Bernice had maybe gone deer hunting because it was deer hunting season, I guess. But when there was still no sign of Bernice by the end of the day, her son, Sheriff Frank Warden, her son's the sheriff. He killed the wrong lady. He killed the fucking wrong lady. So by the end of the day, her son, Sheriff Frank Warden, entered the store around 5 p.m. to find the store's cash register open and blood stains on the floor. Frank Warden told investigators that Ed Gein had been in the store that evening before his mother's disappearance, so he'd been in there that night before, and that a sales slip for a gallon of antifreeze was the last receipt written by Warden on the morning she disappeared. So he left like too strong of a breadcrumb. Like,
yeah, the trail's a little too thick.
yeah, you can't just like either don't buy something from her and kill her, or wait till more people buy stuff. So you're just like, oh, she stopped selling stuff after you. That's weird. You're the last person to see her. It's like, oh no, I just have skulls in my house. So on the evening of the same day, Gein was arrested at a West Plainfield grocery store, and the Washuara County Sheriff's Department searched the Gein farm. What they found shocked and horrified the entire town to their core. A Washuara County Sheriff's deputy discovered Warden's decapitated body in a shed on Gein's property, hung upside down by her legs with a crossbar at her ankles and ropes on her wrist. The torso was cut open like a deer, and she had been shot with a .22 caliber rifle, and the mutilations were made after her death. I guess that's the only silver lining, is that he did all of this after he shot her, which is like, I guess, he's not torturing her, which is, I guess, good. I mean, if we had to find a silver lining.
Yeah.
So,
sometimes you just don't want to find those. You just got to say, yeah, shit was bad.
yeah, exactly. So, but that wasn't the weirdest shit they found at his house, because as the search continued, they found much more than that disturbed even the most grizzled cop. Here's a list of what they found inside the home, and this is fucking wild. Little viewer discretion advised. I mean, that was pretty awful what I just mentioned, but this may be just as bad. Whole human bones and fragments, a wastebasket made of human skin covering several chair seats, skulls on his bedposts, which is the only one I kind of condone. Like, well, that's kind of badass. If they weren't real skulls.
You can only have 4, but yeah.
True. Female skulls, some with the tops sawed off, bowls made from human skulls, a corset made from a female torso skinned from shoulder to waist, leggings made from human leg skin, masks made from the skin of female heads, Mary Hogan's face mask in a paper bag. We haven't mentioned Mary Hogan yet, but they ended up finding her face, I guess, in there. And they also found her skull in a box. And then they found Bernice Warden's entire head in a burlap sack, and Bernice Warden's heart in a plastic bag in front of Gein's pot-bellied stove, which is,
oh boy,
you could kind of tell what 1 and 2 are about to happen. Put them together.
Yeah.
So,
it was marinating.
Yeah. They also found. Oh, I don't like this one. 9 vulva in a shoebox.
Okay.
Were those Nikes? Anyway, a belt made I'll save that one for last. He also found 4 noses, a pair of lips on a window shade drawstring, which is that's what?
That's weird.
Yeah. A lampshade made from the skin of a human face, fingernails from female fingers, and my personal favorite, which has always stuck with me ever since I heard about this guy, is a belt made from human nipples.
Oh.
It was like a belt. It was like a fucking belt that went around his waist. It was made from like over 30 or 40. It's the most disgusting, awful thing you can.
I mean, that just sounds stylish.
Kind of fashion forward, but you know.
Yeah, ahead of its time.
Oh,
Or-
you're gonna arrest me because you guys aren't with the fucking. I'm a trendsetter, assholes. Okay.
You guys need to go to London. That's where the trends are coming from.
They eat Cocoa Puffs out of human skulls there. Okay. So, when questioned, Gein told investigators that in the last 5 years, he made as many as 40 nocturnal visits to 3 local graveyards to exhume recently buried bodies while he was still in a daze-like state. On about 30 of those visits, he said he came out of a daze while in the cemetery, left the grave in good order, and returned home empty-handed on 30 of them. On the other occasions, he dug up the graves of recently buried middle-aged women he thought resembled his mother, and took the bodies home where he tanned their skin to make his paraphernalia. So he's not.
Yeah, because you gotta tan it to work with it. I guess that's kind of fucked.
Yeah, yeah. And his father was a tanner for a short bit, so I mean,
Yeah.
he probably had all the equipment already, or at least some of the skills. And
He knew a thing or two.
yeah, and it's kind of interesting because Ed Gein's obviously like a horrible like killer or whatever, but he apparently only killed 2 people, while the most of his atrocities were grave robbing and like body mutilation. So it's kind of like he's kind of like seen as this big boogeyman, and he totally is, of course, but not compared to somebody with like a really high body count, which is weird because he still has a status just because of all the fucking creepy gross shit he did to the bodies
Yeah.
after, which is awful.
I was a little confused on how he did a whole nipple, a nip belt. Can we call it a nip belt?
I like that.
If he only killed that many people, but yeah, if he was digging up bodies, then
It makes sense.
that's definitely how you complete the nip belt.
So Gein admitted to stealing from 9 graveyards, from local cemeteries, and oh, sorry, I'm burping.
Jesus.
Gonna fucking vomit. So
Oh Lord Jesus.
local cemeteries, and he led investigators to their locations. The crime laboratory participated in opening 3 test graves identified by Gein in order to check if he was actually telling the truth, since they did not believe that he would be able to dig up a grave in one night. But Gein confessed that he went after recently buried bodies that had much looser soil, which actually does make sense, honestly.
Yeah.
Also, it says they dug 2 feet down to wooden boxes where they were found as Gein described. So they're making it seem like also that they didn't bury him 6 feet down; they buried him 2 feet down, which is very interesting.
Lazy handiwork right there.
I don't know if that was just like in the area or if that was like a custom back in 40, where I don't know when this happened or something like that.
They were asking
50.
for it if they were only going 2 feet.
Yeah. So, so like I said, they found, as Gein described, 2 exhumed graves found empty. One had a crowbar in place of the body, and 1 casket was empty, and 1 casket Gein had failed to open when he lost his pry bar, and most of the body was gone from the 3rd grave. Yet Gein had returned rings and some body parts, thus apparently corroborating Gein's confession. So they're like, oh, fuck, like he did do all of this as he, confessed. He's not just like saying like he did that, but he really killed a bunch of people. Like bodies were missing. So he soon confessed that after his mother's death, he began to create a woman's suit so that he could become his mother, to literally crawl into her skin. Exactly. So this is where like the psycho stuff kind of like comes in, the obsession with the mother to become the mother. Obviously the Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that's like pretty obvious, the face thing.
Yeah.
And then Buffalo Bob is the same thing with like the skinning people and stuff like that. So, Gein denied having sex with the bodies he exhumed, explaining they smelled too bad. Well,
That's fair.
at least he has
I'll give him that
he
one.
has a refined palate. He's not just one of these guys who doesn't care about the stench of a body.
That I think that takes him down to at least only 99% evil.
I know, right? It's like, oh, okay, well, at least he didn't do that. But during state crime laboratory interrogations, Gein also admitted to the shooting death of Mary Hogan. Like I said, they found her face and skull in his house. And she was a tavern owner, missing since 1954, whose head was found in the house, and he later denied memory of details of her death. So he said, I did it, and then they questioned him again, and he goes, I don't remember doing that. So he kind of flip-flopped on it. And
Yeah.
a 16-year-old youth whose parents were friends of Gein and who attended ball games and movies with him reported that Gein kept shrunken heads in his house, which Gein had described as relics from the Philippines sent by a cousin who had served on the island during World War II. But upon investigation by the police, these were determined to be human facial skins carefully peeled from the corpses and used by Gein as masks. So they weren't actual shrunken heads, they were just like normal size face masks, I guess.
Ah,
Crazy.
lovely.
Yeah, and I bet that kid he became a whiskey man after all this. So
Oh yeah, who wouldn't become a whiskey man? I mean, it's hard enough not becoming a whiskey man for without any no reason, no good God fear and reason, but this
but
definitely.
you start showing me face mask in jar, then
Yeah, I'm gonna be a double on the ice whiskey man right there.
Yeah. So during questioning, Washoe County Sheriff Art Schley reportedly assaulted Gein by banging his head and face into a brick wall. And as a result, Gein's initial confession was ruled inadmissible. So basically, when he said he killed Mary Hogan and then later recanted and said I didn't, they couldn't use the first one because the guy fucking beat the shit out of him. And they're like, oh, well, he could have confessed under fear now. You know what I mean? That you're going to violently hurt him.
Yeah.
So they have to throw the shit out, which is so fucking stupid. And Schley...
That's a lawyer's wet dream right there.
I know, honestly. And Art Schley actually died of heart failure at age 43 in 1968 before Gein's trial. And many who knew Schley said that he was traumatized by the horror of Gein's crimes. And this, along with the fear of having to testify, especially about assaulting Gein, caused his death. So, like I said, this guy definitely probably became a whiskey man in those last couple days, year or whatever, after dealing with this motherfucker. So on November 21st, 1957, Gein was arraigned on one count of first degree murder in Washoe County Court, where he pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. Gein was diagnosed with schizophrenia and found mentally incompetent, thus unfit for trial. So he was sent to the Central State Hospital for the Criminally Insane, a maximum security facility, and he was later transferred to the Mendota State Hospital. So they're basically saying you can't even stand trial because you're too fucking crazy. But 11 years later, doctors determined Gein was mentally able to confer with counsel and participate in his defense, and his trial reopened, but only lasted 1 week as no jury was present, as Judge Robert H. Golmar would make the decision. They basically couldn't have a jury there because everybody knew of him so well that it would be too swayed. He was too there's too much notoriety, and everybody would be like guilty, guilty, guilty. So the judges, they asked if the judge would just preside over it, and they said yeah, sure. So during the trial, a psychiatrist testified that Gein had told him that he did not know whether the killing of Bernice Warden, the lady at the hardware store, was intentional or accidental. Gein had told him that while he examined a gun in Warden's store, the gun went off, killing Warden, and Gein testified that after trying to load a bullet into the rifle, it discharged. He said that he had not aimed the rifle at Warden and did not remember anything else that happened that morning. Ed was found guilty of the murder, though, but he still had one more trial, as the second was to determine if he was mentally insane or not. So even after confessing and saying that it was an accident, the judge is like, you still murdered this woman, and like what you did to her body was literally, you could say you didn't mean to kill her, but like what you did after was like, it's pretty obvious like what the fuck's going on here. Yeah. So, and in the second trial, they're like, okay, is he crazy enough to go to prison now? And Judge Golmar found Ed not guilty by reason of insanity and sentenced him to spend the rest of his life inside the mental hospital where he was located. The judge also stated that Ed was only tried for one murder of Bernice Warden and not for the murder of Mary Hogan because it would cost too much to do a second trial for that second murder, which is super fucked up to her family. Yeah. Right? Like, I don't even know if she had family, but they're just like, oh, well, he's like already in the mental hospital. I guess we just can't, it would cost too much money and he's already locked away forever. So fuck it. But
Oh well.
exactly, fuck. So Ed's house is shortly after scheduled to be auctioned off, but instead burned down in a manner that seems to be foul play or arson. But the case continues to go unsolved. As for his car, though, that he hauled bodies in from the graveyard, he sold it. It was sold to a carnival sideshow operator, Bunny Gibbons, for $760, which would actually turn out to be $6,700 today. And he charged carnival goers 25 cents admission to see it. And to tell you the truth, that's like the only thing I feel like I would have really enjoyed back in the day are those fucking weird carnival barkers who are like,
Oh yeah, you don't see those.
yeah, like come in and see Fish Boy. Like, hell yeah, I
Yeah.
want to see Fish Boy. I don't even care if it's like fake. I'll pay to see it. But they always like
Exactly.
there was like no morals involved in that carnival. Like we covered a long ass time ago. There was a guy who literally just like hung a mummy, like a real life mummy. He didn't know it was a real life mummy, but he fucking hung it in like the haunted house. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ! Like, how do you get that passed? Like, how do you get that by anybody for so
Yeah.
long? So Gein died. Just to wrap this up, Gein died at the Mendota Mental Health Institute due to respiratory failure secondary to lung cancer on July 26, 1984, at the age of 77. Over the years, souvenir seekers chipped pieces from his gravestone at the Plainfield Cemetery until the stone itself was stolen in 2000. It was recovered in June 2001 near Seattle and was placed in storage at the Washouara County Sheriff's Department. The gravesite itself is now unmarked but not unknown, as Gein is interned between his parents and his brother in the cemetery.
Oh.
So, I mean, and it's kind of weird too because he may have killed his brother and his mom was like absolutely horrible to him and like created him. So I guess it is kind of like suited that he's in between them. And it's like, I don't know. It's like the only people he ever had. It's like, but they created him maybe, or maybe like they died because of him. You know what I mean? It's like very strange
Yeah.
and kind of like morbid. But
Yeah.
I guess that's what you do when you only have 2 feet to dig, right? Just throw him in the hole, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that he's one of like the heavy hitters in the whole, weird true crime murder kind of folklore of killers and horribleness. Ed Gein definitely comes up quite a bit, but that's the story of Ed Gein, and I hope you enjoyed it because I really
lovely.
enjoyed it. I enjoyed,
Oh, I loved
especially
it.
the part where the guy murdered the dog. Oh God, that was so.
Oh,
Mama loved
it.
that. Mama loved that movie. What's that movie with a dog? Old
Dog
Yeller.
Skip?
My mama favorite movie is Old Yeller. Remember when they take him to the back? Oh, it's so funny. That's like a great comedy.
They say the greatest comedies are the biggest tragedies.
It's true. Anyway, okay, David, what do you have for us today?
So today I want to tell the story of a man of God. And this man's name was Hans Schmidt. Hans Schmidt. So Hans B. Schmidt was born in 1881, but this son of a bitch was born so long ago, we only know his birth year, not the actual date. Not that that's super important, but yeah. So he was born.
You say 1881?
Is that? Yeah, is that a palindrome? Is that what you call that?
Palindrome? Yes.
Yeah.
Like
So
like mom.
Yeah. Oh, dad.
Dog death.
So. He was a German Roman. Sorry. He. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I lost my spot.
He's a German shepherd.
So he was a German Roman Catholic priest who managed to accomplish something that no man, woman, or child has been able to do since then.
He counted how many
that would
licks
be-
till he get to the center of a Tootsie Pop.
No, it wasn't that.
fuck.
He would be the first and only priest to be executed in the United States.
Whoa. What?
He's a naughty man of God.
Well,
So
I mean,
Hans was.
I don't want to. I don't want to say anything
Do
too
you know about this?
No, I don't want to say anything too controversial, but I'm kind of surprised there haven't been like for some of the stuff we know now. I'm surprised that hasn't happened again, right?
Yeah. So Hans was born in the Bavarian town of Aschaffenburg.
Love it.
Aschaffenburg.
Beautiful.
Yeah, to a Protestant father and a Catholic mother. Unfortunately for Hans, both sides of his genetics had long history of mental illness. So from his early years, Hans always had something slightly off with him, juggling his deep love and devotion to religion and his bisexual feelings and fascination with blood and dismemberment.
Okay, well, at first I thought you were going to say that he had a history of mental illness, and then you just said juggling, and I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
his passion for
He had a unicycle,
his passion
too.
for juggling. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a crazy motherfucker.
Yeah. So, I mean, now there's nothing wrong with having a deep passion for the love of God or bisexuality, but when you mix those two with the other two of blood and dismemberment, you're going to have a bad time. So, I mean, typically one of those, I don't think having a deep passion for God or bisexuality really work together either, based on what I know of the Bible. But
I mean,
you never
the
know.
old Bible for sure. I don't know. It could be
They're getting
interpreted
better.
in new ways now.
Yeah, they're getting better about it.
Getting better.
So, according to the legends provided by his relatives, Hans once beheaded two of his parents' geese and kept the heads in his pockets, which I get because, I don't see any reason to do that at all.
Wait. You wrote which I get, and then you realize how horrible the thing you wrote was, and then you backtracked.
No, I wrote which I get ... Yeah, no, I can't see any reason to do that.
I can. I fucking hate geese. They're so mean.
They are
They bite
assholes.
people. They hiss at people.
They honk and they
I think
bite
we're
people.
anti-hornet, anti-seagull, anti-geese on this podcast. Anti-anything not whiskey. The list goes on and on.
Yeah, if you can't, dogs are cool because dogs can be whiskey dogs. Some cats could definitely ascend into that territory. So another thing, Hans would also take daily trips to the village slaughterhouse where he would sit and watch the slaughterers, cut and dismember the animals. And he found a deep joy in watching the butchers do their job. Not a good sign
I
either.
think Hans and Augusta would have gotten along fantastically.
I think they would have gotten along famously.
They're just going cattle, and Augusta's like, "What's fucking throw a dog in there or something?" getting all riled up over here.
Get a little more domesticated. I want to see someone's
I say
pet.
Chihuahua.
But death wasn't the only thing that could keep his attention in the world, which he also really loved: crimes. During his seminary studies, Hans was arrested by the Bavarian police in 1905 and charged with forging diplomas for failing students. The public prosecutor, prosecutor was determined to send Hans to prison. But his pepper, not his graham pepper, but just his pepper, hired a lawyer who must have been good because he got off of all charges, and they were dropped for the reason of mental defect. And I don't think they were wrong about that one. Even though basically everyone who knew Hans knew something was off with him and judged his moral and mental ability to serve as a Catholic priest, he still managed to apparently become ordained when he claimed that he was ordained by a woman named Bishop Kirsten of Mainz on December 23rd of 1904.
Now, I have a question. You said that he was forging diplomas for failing students. Is that at the monastery? Or was he...
It was the seminary school.
Oh, that's what I meant,
I'm not
yeah.
entirely... Yeah, I'm not super familiar with that whole thing, but it's kind of funny that if they were all in training to become priests or whatever, working within the house of God, I find it kind of funny that he would have the ability, like there would be enough people for him to start forging diplomas.
Yeah,
You know,
there are failing students. There was a guy who's like, "Oh, you failed at helping God. You can't be here anymore." Some guys like, and that is not like where I mean, it's different to pick a career and go like, "Oh, I want to be a scientist," and somebody goes, "You're not smart enough." You're like, "I guess if I'm not smart enough," but like when you join the seminary, you're like, "I'm gonna be able to like." Be good enough to like help God out. Like I'm devoting my life to God, and then God's like, nah, those F's won't swing it, doggy. Sorry.
Should I study? No.
'Cause that-
God's got this one for
He's
me.
like, that book hecka thick though.
It's got them golden pages.
You talk all fucked up. I can't read that. It's all like the. Like, well, I don't know. I don't get any of that.
There's like rhymes and shit. I can't do this.
How many fish and how many loaves are there at the beginning of the story? I don't get it.
So Hans would be put on a parish assignment in the village of Bergel and Seligenatat, where Hans molested altar boys, had an affair with several women, and had his fun with many prostitutes, which I'm sure he said were all a part of God's plan.
Oh, that's what Drake was rapping about?
Yes. Well, we all know about Drake and his
Okay.
altar boys. Sadly enough, these actions were not made too big of a deal, but it was his creative way of saying mass and his eccentric sermons that led to his fellow priest complaining about his like overall demeanor and actions to the bishops. When it was obvious that Hans was a problem, the bishops blacklisted him from working in his home and did not allow him to work in that area, so Hans decided to have a change of scenery. Hans immigrated to the United States in 1909 and was first assigned to St. John's Roman Catholic Church in Louisville, Kentucky, where Hans famously pissed everybody off, resulting in his transfer to St. Boniface Church in New York City.
Wait, so everyone's getting mad at his sermons and stuff like that? They're saying they're too weird?
Yeah, I guess he was just like very intense.
He's like, God told me that you have to bring me all your peanut butter and deliver it to me. And no jelly, just the peanut butter. And everyone's like, I'm out of peanut butter.
Peanut butter's expensive, man. It's 1909. You know the price of peanut butter, man.
All the other priests were just jealous that they weren't getting any cut. Extra chunky.
So with Hans now in New York, it was time for him to start a new life. And it was in New York City in 1912, Hans met Anna Emuller, the housekeeper of his church. Hans had claimed to have heard a voice from the big guy upstairs, God himself, that he ordered Hans to love Anna. At first, Anna refused Hans's advances, but eventually gave in and started having a secret sexual relationship with Hansy Hans.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But unfortunately for Anna, she wasn't the only one Hans was freaking at that time. Hans was also having a secret sexual relationship with a New York dentist, a man named Ernest Murrent.
He's all over the place.
Yeah. He's everywhere. So not only was he having a secret affair with this guy, but they were also they also operated a counterfeiting operation.
Oh, make more diplomas, more dentist diplomas now.
I guess so.
That's easier to figure out if you're bad at that job.
Well, I mean, that's what God said. God said, go bang that dude and make counterfeit shit with him. And so he did it.
He was up in the rafters, he told me.
Yeah. Hans would later claim to have enjoyed his time spent with Ernest more than with Anna.
Ooh, this is like a classic rom-com.
Yo. I am honestly surprised that there hasn't been a movie about this yet, because it's pretty wild.
Yeah, sounds like it.
So eventually Hans would get transferred again to St. Joseph's Church in Manhattan, New York, leaving Anna back at the other church, but their super secret sexual extravaganza would continue, and it was also later revealed that the two were married in a secret ceremony which Hans performed himself, telling Anna he was going to leave the priesthood for her.
Oh.
So like he ordained the wedding himself, which I don't think works like
She's
that.
like, are you sure you're in the priesthood?
I honestly, part of me is very like I feel like he probably never actually was ordained.
He's like
I think that was
the kid who hangs out with like the other skateboarders, and like he can't really skate, but like he could kind of do an ollie.
He can't even ollie.
Yeah, he could like kind of ollie like a little bit, and then he's like, I'm just like a skater, just like everybody else, and that guy's a poser.
Yeah. So during a naughty, okay, so this is where shit starts to get really wild. So during a naughty time sexual encounter with Anna on top of the goddamn high altar of St. Joseph's Church, Hans received, yeah, Hans received what he claimed to be a command from God to sacrifice Anna. The command was repeated over and over again to Hans, so he told Anna about it, and she called him crazy. And soon after this, she informed Hans that she was pregnant. So,
that's what you
yeah.
gotta do to
So on
just stay off the chopping block. He's like, God told me to
Yeah.
kill you, and she's like, oh, did I mention I'm pregnant? He's like, oh, okay, I guess I won't. Like, what the fuck?
Well, I don't know. Maybe God doesn't want that baby. So on the night of September 2nd, 1913, Hans went home to the apartment that they had been renting while a married couple. And this part is wildly graphic, so please hit that skip 15-second button if you want. But Hans slashed Anna's throat while she slept, drank her blood, raped her as she bled to death, dismembered her body, and threw the pieces from the ferry into the Hudson River. All in the name of God, and that's what he wanted.
My gosh.
And then Hans returned to the church, offered mass, and administered Holy Communion as if nothing even happened.
What was in that communion cup?
Oh, a finger?
I mean, it's just
A couple fingers?
It's crazy to think that like these like they've known each other for X amount of time, and like they seem like they know each other pretty well. And he's even like, God told me to kill you, and she's like, what? No, don't do that. And then like one night he's like, I guess I'll just go kill her. Like, it's just crazy. It's absolutely insane that like I don't know. It baffles me. It baffles me.
Yeah. So after the body parts of Anna started to wash up on parts like the Cliffside Park and the Weehawken in New Jersey, the Hudson County Police started to launch an investigation. But luckily, in the name of justice, the pillowcase containing the body parts still had a price tag attached to it. And by using the tag, they were able to track down that it came from a Newark factory which sold exclusively to Manhattan furniture dealer George Sack.
Oh wow. It's pretty you always wonder how they solved these cases back in the day. There had to be something like that, you know? Like a price
They got
tag.
lucky because without that, like who knows how they could have figured it out.
Exactly.
So the police the case was handed over to the New York police, who questioned the store owner, asking to see their backlog of recent purchases. Yeesh. One stood out when a whole bed set was sold to someone, which was under eventually found out a fake alias of A. Van Dyke. So, but you know, the thing that makes it hard about using a fake name is having something delivered to your home address. That will typically still get you caught.
Oh, yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So the police followed the address and talked to the building's superintendent, who revealed that the apartment was occupied by a married couple, and the husband was described as a man with a heavy German accent who had given his name as H. Schmidt.
Hans. Okay.
Yeah. So after an unsuccessful 3-day stakeout, no one showed up, no one came in, no one came out of the apartment. So the officer, Frank Casasas, was ordered to break down the door. Casas had discovered the floor had been recently scrubbed clean, but large amounts of dried blood were found on the walls, along with a large blood-stained kitchen knife.
I feel like he got like half, like every other thing. I mean, he's probably manic and like bipolar or something like that, but it seems like he got every other thing right with the crime. Where he's like, I got rid of the body in the river. That's pretty good. I left the tag on the pillowcase, and he's like, well, I used an alias. That's good. I got it dropped off at my home. That's bad. I cleaned the floor. That's good. But I didn't fucking clean the walls or my murder weapon. That's bad.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
He was about halfway. So once identifying Hans and figuring out his place of work, the three officers arrived at the St. Joseph Church to confront Hans, who actually made things very easy for the officers, almost immediately screaming, "I killed her! I killed her because I loved her."
Ooh, we're here for a parking ticket.
Yeah. And so then right then and there, he described the murder and the dismemberment in great detail as the fellow priest watched in horror, puking in the donation
No
bucket.
way. They puked in the donation.
I don't know if they actually puked in. I just know that they like witnessed all of it and were just like, what the fuck? We knew this guy was kind of weird, but my
They're like,
God.
I shared a robe with this man. That's what they did back then, right? Shared robes.
We've been leaving the altar boys alone with this guy?
The one priest is like, what? I had sex on that altar.
Ew, did you wash
you
it?
son of a bitch.
Hans. So obviously this story sparked a huge media spectacle, and Hans was eventually convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to death by the electric chair.
Whoa.
Yeah, so after this case, the police decided to take a deeper look into Hans to find that he had a second apartment where his counterfeit business took place, and they also suspected Hans of killing Alma Kellner, a 9-year-old girl whose body was found buried in the basement of St. John's Church in Kentucky, the first American church he worked at. The body had been...
I was going to say, to be fair, we don't know if it was him. Like I said, there is a history with certain churches and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
But explain what happened?
Yeah. Well, the body had been found burned, but it was suspected that the killer had initially tried to dismember the body. The church's janitor, Joseph Windling, was convicted and sentenced to a life in prison for the murder based on just little evidence and bloody clothing found at his house. You know, who knows? He might have killed someone, but I kind of think Hans killed the little girl.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. Like, those situations are so hard to figure out. Like, why did he have bloody clothing at his house? You know, like, what was his explanation? And even if he's like, oh, I shot a deer, and, like, they can't test the blood, like, back then. So, I mean, it's really interesting to see if they still had that evidence and they could test the blood and see if it actually was hers to, like, clear that case up, you know? Those are, like, the cases that everyone's kind of forgot. Like, we're not going to spend money on that. Like, everyone's dead who's involved in this, but it would be sad if it wasn't her blood.
Yeah, and that guy just fucking rotted in prison for no reason. Yeah. So that wraps up my story, and I guess the moral of the story is, if God wants you to brutally murder someone, it might just be because he can't wait to meet you in the afterlife.
It's true.
You just never know.
And I'm always so fascinated with the electric chair. I think it's so crazy.
Oh yeah, it's
like,
wild.
I don't know how that's better than, like, I feel like they went backwards. They're like, oh, okay, we invented, like, chopping your head off with a sword, and then people are like, oh, that's kind of bloody, and they're like, we invented hanging, and they're like, oh, that's pretty quick, and it usually snaps her neck, and that's a pretty good one, and then and look at this electric chair, and they're like, no. What? Like, he stays alive for how long? And, like, you have to put a bag over his head because his eyeballs pop out? And people are like, yeah. And he's like, go back to hanging. But, like, to be fair, like, that shit happened in hanging, too. So, I guess they're just trying to get creative and shit. But I've seen The Green Mile. I know what happens if you don't wet the sponge.
Yeah.
So, have you seen it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But, wow. I'm surprised I've never heard of that dude.
Yeah, no, I was pretty blown away that I'd never heard of it either when I found an article about it.
What happened to his dentist boyfriend? He's like, oh, no, I didn't know that guy. I sometimes worked on
Yep.
his teeth. Definitely
Didn't know him, never met him. I don't know the
Definitely
guy.
didn't have sex on that altar as well.
Never been to the church. I'm Jewish. I've never been to a church.
Okay, well, I think that wraps up our stories for today. If you guys want any more information, you go to campstrange.com. Check out all the hyperlinks for Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. If you guys want to send us anything, send it to campstrangepodcast@gmail.com. Also, we got a nice email from somebody. Oh, my God, I can't remember her name, but she basically just, like, she said she's been binging our episodes, and she sent us, like, a list of, like, all interesting facts that we should know as well. And I was like, oh, these are fun. So thank you guys for reaching out. You know, she's like,
Ooh.
sorry, I'm just kind of a nerd when it comes to this stuff. And do you know this and this and this? And I was like, oh, that's interesting. But I could not respond because it wasn't through just the regular Gmail. It's through like the response thing on our website, the contact tab. So if you guys want us to respond, send it campstrangepodcast@gmail.com from your email, and we can send stuff back, you know. Also, if you want merch, we have merch, you know, we have shirts and mugs, and if you guys want to leave us a review or rate or subscribe to us, we would like that as well. And tell a friend. Why not tell a friend these horrible stories, so you can talk to somebody about them? You don't just have to become a whiskey man after you hear these stories. You just go, you go have whiskey with someone else, and now it's a group thing. Now it's group drinking. You know, that's how you
Yeah.
get around that one.
That's fun.
So
Group drinking's a lot more fun than solo drinking.
yeah, unless you're by a fire, then that's fun. Anyway, if you guys well, we already said that. David, what else do we got for these people at in the merch store?
I got a 3-legged dog on rollerblades.
I have backward shoes.
Oh my god.
What?
I've got a pet cloud. It's got a little leash and you can carry the cloud
I
around.
got a double Dutch routine that'll fuck your life up.
What is double
It's what they.
Dutch?
It's
does
like
that
every
mean?
single time they cut to a New York neighborhood in the 70s and they're playing double Dutch in the streets when you go 2 jump ropes at the same time, opposite directions, and somebody's like doing like that's double
okay.
Dutch, and it's gonna fuck up your life.
Okay. I've got a 6-month-old McRib I've been saving for its peak sale value.
I have head lice.
Well, you've had that for a long time.
I have more head lice. So much more. They have colonies.
I have a whole bundle of arrows made from licorice.
I have 2 shirt pockets on the front of my shirt, one on each side. You don't see that.
I've got Sonic the Hedgehog.
Ooh. I have tortellini with pesto in the middle.
I have something else to be doing. Let's end this.
Okay, thank you guys. So,
I gotta edit this shit.
David, do you have anything else to say before we leave?
Oh boy, drink more water. Stay
And some
hydrated.
whiskey. And don't forget to stay strange.